Himesh Ghai has been appointed Executive Vice President at Kingsdale Advisors. With over 15 years of progressive legal and business experience and having advised boards and executive leadership teams on a broad range of strategic and operational matters, before joining Kingsdale, Himesh worked for a range of corporate companies, including Stikeman Elliott LLP, Granger Canada, and McDonald Detweiler and Associates Inc. Himesh holds an LLB and an MBA from Western University. BIPOC Executive Search invites you to join us in congratulating Himesh and thanks you for tuning in to this edition of 5 Questions.
Himesh, once again, congratulations on being appointed Executive Vice President for Kingsdale Advisors. We thank you this morning or today for making the time for a 5 question segment, reflecting on your journey, which has brought you to this point in your career and life, and sharing your views and advice, which may be helpful for so many.
No, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And this is a great opportunity, and obviously very happy to be part of the Kingsdale team.
Wonderful. So Kingsdale is a very prominent organization, as we all know, and it has a reputation that is known far and wide. What is it about this organization in particular that made you want to join Himesh?
Yeah, so the answer for me is a very simple answer in some respects, but also tends to be complicated because these are important career decisions. And so my philosophy on organizations really. My guiding philosophy has always been people. I think the reputation of a company or a corporation or a firm is driven entirely by those who are there, those who represent the firm's values and ethos, so to speak. So for me, it was a delight, having this opportunity to be a part of the Kingsdale team. And for me, it's about the people. I'm very appreciative to have a core group of colleagues that come from various walks of life, very diverse in their thought and in how they approach things. And quite frankly, I think that is the secret sauce. That is the strength of the firm in terms of bringing together people from various diverse backgrounds, and both personally and professionally. And so that builds resilience and also innovation within the firm. So for me, it was great to meet the folks. We got along, and obviously here we are.
Yeah, and it's great that you bring up teams because your experience is really impressive, Himesh, and much of your experience includes people management and working with teams. So what advice do you have for other leaders around how best to keep teams motivated?
I appreciate that. Thank you. And yes, I've been very fortunate, throughout my career to find myself in situations where, I've had fantastic leaders. And I'm striving to be a better leader every day, both personally and professionally. And so, just to answer your question, I think the advice that I would give myself, quite frankly, is first and foremost, be transparent with your team. Understand what the objectives of the team are in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And then be transparent, be accountable both to yourself and also instill that accountability and transparency within the team, and ensure that we're all lockstep. We all understand what we're bringing to the table, who's responsible for what, and assess the team regularly. Assess yourself, assess your team regularly to understand where things are going well, how the personalities function best, what are the areas of opportunity for all of us. And I think, if you keep that process iterative, and you show that there is importance in this, you're not just, talking the talk, you have regular touch points with your team, you show the importance of that teamwork, then I think that, that leads to a greater opportunity for the team to be motivated, self-motivated, as well as motivated for their colleagues. And I think that tends to drive results for the most part.
Absolutely. It's all such a very really poignant advice that you're giving here, Himesh, for everyone. Because you're such a strong communicator and very, very engaging, you're someone that others enjoy hearing from and listening to. If you could teach a course on any subject, a course that would have millions of people from around the world tune in, because you never know, what would that course be and why?
Well, you're saying very kind things, and I appreciate it, and I will accept them graciously. I'm going to joke a little bit. The course that I'd really want to teach is how to golf well. The course that I would end up teaching would be don't do what I do. Okay, that's all joking aside. I think the way that I would approach the answer to this question is, I'm very much a discussion type person. So if there was a course, it would be very interactive, and really what comes to mind is, what's near and dear to my heart, which is, leadership, professional growth, and what qualities it takes to be successful in your career, or at least to put yourself in the best possible place in terms of opportunity, as well as hard work and ethic, etc. So, as you know, from my background, I have a very varied background, and every part of I started off in the sciences, then ended up, doing work at a professional services law firm. Then I went in-house and I was a general counsel at a couple of companies. And now I'm at Kingsdale Advisors doing proxy solicitation, governance advisory work, which is great work. And so what I would want to engage people with is, it's all about finding the right opportunity. It's all about being opportunistic. It's about being resilient in terms of setbacks. And it's about having a very open mind in terms of where your next opportunity is going to come from, both internally within your organization as well as externally. So that would be something that I would really want to engage with.
I am signing up for any course you're teaching, just so you know.
I appreciate that. It's I'm a bit of a cliche person, and front and center for me is life as a people business, and so I really enjoy engaging at that level.
That's great. That's great. And I love that your answer that you just gave connects well with this next question. I'm thinking about this past year and how it's caused so many of us to reflect on leadership and what makes an effective leader. In your view, are there 2 or 3 attributes that are quite key for leaders to possess, particularly in today's climate?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost is, you're going to see a common theme here is communication. We live in a very uncertain world. In some respects, over the last year and a half, we've learned to live with our current circumstances, but that doesn't mean that our circumstances are certain. They still remain relatively uncertain in a lot of ways. And so from a professional perspective, I think hyper communication with your team, again, transparency with your team in terms of just accepting that there are certain areas that are still uncertain. So, I'll bring up an example in terms of what's top of mind for leaders right now is, what does going back to a physical work environment look like? And we're just starting to ask those questions. I think we've been thinking about this question a lot, but we haven't really been asking the question, gathering the information, and various organizations are at various stages within the journey in terms of figuring out what the next phase of work is going to look like from a physical perspective, being together perspective. And so I think in this particular time, it's going to be very important for leaders to acknowledge that there is that uncertainty, acknowledge that there will be a new normal, and communicate aspects of what that new normal look like. But you can't get to the right answer for your organization until you've solicited the feedback, you've listened to your teams, because we've all experienced the last year and a half in some very similar ways, but in also very different ways in terms of what our decisions are going forward and what our comfort level is going forward. So I think it's critical for leaders at this time to spend a lot of time listening, a lot of time, having that empathy in terms of understanding that a lot of this is not just going to be analytical. A lot of this has to be, a strong collaboration and marriage between, what is right for the organization, obviously, what is effective for the organization, but also bringing people along so that they feel a part of that change. They're not concerns necessarily, but their viewpoints have been acknowledged, and that we're finding the right balance. And balance is a tough word. I think we're finding the right management approach to what we're going to do going forward. I hope that answers your question.
It does.
That definitely does, and there's so many more factors and critical elements that we need to consider, which just means life gets busier, right?
Right.
As we focus on how to balance, as you say, which brings us to our next question, because it can just get so very busy. Of course, it's nice to pause and reflect sometimes on golf courses, Himesh. It's
Yes.
also nice to get to know what occupies people's minds outside of work. Question is simple. What are you thankful for?
Yeah, what a deceptively simple question. But there's so many layers there. Professionally, I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I have currently. I'm grateful for the colleagues that I have and the work that I do. So there's a thankful element, but largely mostly a gratefulness element to my answer. I'm very grateful personally for my health and my family's health. Our ability to work the way that we've been able to work and to interact with each other and to spend the time that we've spent under some pretty tough circumstances, but we've held together and we're coming out of this as strong as we can be. So I'm really thankful for that, really grateful for that. And also, to my broader family and friends, I've been very thankful that over the course of the last year and a half, people have been reaching out, we've been reaching out, and we've tried to do the best that we can to maintain some element of a community. And people have been, we've done the best that we can in terms of just being able to get together, obviously within the public health guidelines, to be able to have these Zoom calls, to be able to stay connected. And so for me, thankfulness comes from being able to spend whatever time I can with my family and close friends, and so that we can just help each other navigate, life.
Absolutely. We're just so very thankful to you, Himesh, for taking the time today to meet with us, despite your busy schedule, and for the commitment that you make every day to be who you are, be a better human being, and incorporate that sense of collaboration and joy that that we all need to experience every day. So we're grateful to you for that. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
I appreciate that very much. And listen, thank you very much for this opportunity. You folks are doing a fantastic job. I'm very grateful to have been a part of the BIPOC executive search process. Please continue to keep up the good work. There's tons of great candidates out there looking for great homes, and I'm sure they will, they'll do well to know you.